Okay, so after a bit of rest, we can continue microscopic examination. Unfortunately, during the night, the nice blue and the red color that you remember from yesterday, just concentrated on the sides that you see, so it's not this beautiful. Maybe I'll try to create another one like that. It's not difficult, but let's use the material that we already have. Again, these two slides from the old remnants like trash oil container that was open to oxygen, and this one is with yeast. So let's just start. So maybe we start with this one, with the bag. So of course it's without the cover because of the bulkiness of the bag. So we will not be able to use magnification the higher magnification lenses. Maybe not even the 150. Maybe not even the 150. Just the 64. Maybe we won't be able to see much because of the bulkiness of the solution, but I mean, it's interesting to see it anyway. So this was like, as they say, רעבתן שבדבש נתבער ונשרף. I mentioned that, is the palindrome of... it's like a very special palindrome, רעבתן שבדבש נתבער ונשרף. פירשנו רעבתן שבדבש נתבער ונשרף. So it's kind of like a special palindrome. So this is the רעבתן שבדבש. He went, for the honey, because bugs as well like to eat. It's not just that the humans like to eat it. I see many bugs that are eating from the open containers all the time in this room, and some are mutating and becoming all sort of like, yes, just like in, just like in the super, like in comics, just like that. Just like that. Yes, just like that. Pretty much like Batman or whatever, I don't know. Whatever you have in DC or Marvel. Bugs are eating the thing, becoming mutants. Yes. And you don't believe me? I mean, I show you the maximal amount of evidence that I can. And I'll continue to show you evidence because my job is to be a messenger and to convey information. But, I mean, this is reality. I mean, of course, one of the many sad realities, like the ones that I've, referred to yesterday, that, I mean, when I'm outside, I shield from radiation, but they usually tell me everything that they can, so I'll always be inside the room, so there will be no shielding. I mean, these are the facts of life, and I mean, of course, rational creatures would have moved arms and legs a long time ago, but there are no more rational creatures in this planet. It's just mouse mover and tongue addicts. Tongue addicts. יש להם מה לומר? יש לזומבי מה לומר? איזה כיף יש לו מה לומר. איזה כיף יש לזומבי מה לומר. This is reality. Mouse mover and tongue addicts. People that are addicted to the tongue. Boo! Boo! This is a nice strain bacteria in the making, right? Very nice. This is just all sort of worms, not strain bacteria, like regular worms. So this is the body of the fly. Of course, you cannot. It's not suited for backlight microscopy. It's difficult to focus because of the lack of cover. Yeah, I mean, it's not a great slide for microscopy because, you know, but we see train bacteria and we see like some stuff, you know. I didn't have high expectation from, you know, the dead fly. But we do see that there are neros over him, like, I mean, working on something, perhaps obtaining, you know, information, like genetic information, or starting like, you know, future, you know, mutant-like project, gather information for future mutant projects. It's very advisable to actually give them like flies, like to, you know, to work on. Like, I mean, I've done so in the initial phase of the study, like during January, February, March 2023. Just caught all flies and beetles, you know, in my mother's apartment. They're all over the place. So I just, I mean, caught them and put them like, you know, kill them, put it like on the slide and let the neros put a semen or like, ejaculation on it, cover it, and then sometimes in the freezer, sometimes out of the freezer, and just let them learn, you know, the biological scum. כמו שאתם רואים, האולטרה לא נח, גם ביום העצמאות יש לנו פה אמני חושים, אמני פיתוי, אמני אשליות, אמני פסיכולוגיה, אמני אולטרה, אמני מתודה סובייטית, אמנים מכל העולם. יש לנו פה אולטרה 4K, אולטרה 8K, HK, 8K, 12K, 9K, every kind of ultra, I mean, you have like in this place. I mean, the best of the best. Nice, but we cannot zoom in and we cannot focus too much because of this problem. This is another strain bacteria. Nice, very nice. So honestly, it's not super interesting. It's amazing, you know, just a big bug that was Rabtan Shebadvash, you know, in regards to the story of like, you know, of like the people that had like, you know, like a jar of honey, like big jar of honey, and then like a mouse entered it, like, and it wasn't, it already was consumed by the honey, and it wasn't possible to separate it from the honey, but they didn't want to throw it away, but it's not kosher mouse, so they asked Maimonides, the Rambam, I mean, can they eat it? So the answer was, Trashnu, like, I mean, Rabtan Shebadvash Nidber Benisraf, which means, according to our interpretation, the hungry little fucker in the honey is already completely burned, which means that this is kosher, so they can eat it. So we have many, and this is palindrome, so it's a famous palindrome. So nice. So nice. So hopefully, I mean, they will mutate it. I mean, they learn about it and mutate it with time, and, you know, do whatever they do with the stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is actually that we see here, but maybe, I don't know, a limb, like maybe like a horn, like the cockroaches. They don't have horns, right? I don't think that the cockroach just have horns, and they should not have horns. Like, I mean, they are already disgusting enough as they are. They don't need horns. What a nice train. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Okay, so, I mean, I would say nice opener for the day. A nice opener for the day. But just a second, I'll take a few bites and we continue. Okay, so next one. So I took, I took a few bites from this lovely breakfast. So now this next one is from the same like filthy old container, the Ner Neshama. But you know, the red, the blue, but it's just, the overnight it lost its magnificent coloring. Maybe we could do another one. Like if it's interesting, we can do another one with the same sort of coloring, or maybe use the same palette for other, you know, other things like in the future. It's actually not, you know, it's actually interesting. I mean, there is like a science rationale like behind it, like, you know, because again, it's not just colors. There are chemicals, eosin Y and methylene blue, and like people that have, I don't know, chemists, they stains in general, not just these two are the most famous, but there are like 7 that are pretty famous and more than that. Famous amongst chemists. It's not something that is common even like, you know, in Israel, like you can buy it nowhere, you know, just Amazon or from, you know, from abroad. But among chemists, this is they are used not just to, you know, to make things like more, you know, to enhance contrast, so you'll be able to detect stuff, and also, you know, to make it more lively and I would say visually appealing. But also, it's to some extent used for material analysis, which means that certain things are colored or stained better with the blue ones and others with the red ones. And of course, if you have like more chemicals, you have more options, and you can actually, you know, mix it like you know, to create all sorts of like, you know, mixtures. And this gives you sort of basic material analysis of the stuff that can be done without, you know, resorting to, without the need to for machines like, you know, spectrography and things like that. So actually, taking like, you know, like something, you know, and putting like you know, spreading a mixture, you know, on a slide and coloring half red, half blue is actually, it's a scientific thing. It's not just, you know, creating a flag. It's just, and it's used. Such things are used to see, what color, is like stuck better like to the thing that you want to inspect, and because it can give you sort of like a very basic but easy material analysis. There are methods of staining that are more complicated, like the famous gram staining, that perhaps the most famous of all, that is used to differentiate between two groups of bacteria, like, you know, the purple and the pinks. I'm not sure why it's so famous. Like, from my perspective, both the purple and the pink, you know, bacteria are pretty disgusting, and I don't like find it like incredibly important to differentiate between, you know, the different shades of pinkish bacteria that is all around us. They're all around us, but like for me, you know, pink bacteria is pink bacteria. But for some reason, there is like a very famous method within, you know, the life sciences. It's called the gram staining. Perhaps the most famous staining of all, which is used specifically for that purpose, like to differentiate between two shades of pink bacteria. Seriously, I mean, Google it. I mean, I'm not. I don't know why it's so important. Like, whatever. So this part was written by the Pakistani content writer, $5 an hour. Of course, transmitted to me through the famous Red Beetle, Jack Smith, from the MI6. But credits to the Pakistani. I mean, the actual content writer in the content farm in Pakistan. They're really doing a great job. I mean, for $5 an hour, they write content. I mean, history, theology, of course, VFX artists react. Everything you want. I told you, even like Queen Elizabeth even used their services like when she was alive. Famously, the annual radio broadcast. I mean, since 1953, like every Christmas or so, it was all written by the same group of Pakistanis. Like, and after that, when they retired, their offspring, their children continued. Like, I mean, they had a good relationship with the Queen for like 70 years. Like each Christmas, like in the Pakistan, the content writer in the content farm in Pakistan, they've written the annual, the rest of the nation of Queen Elizabeth II. I'm not sure if it's this kind of professional relationship continues with King Charles. I don't know. But it was famously like that with Elizabeth, and everybody was, and then it was always $5 an hour. I mean, Queen or not Queen, I mean, you don't need to waste taxpayer money. I mean, if you can get it for $5 an hour. So we see all sorts of life forms here. Many dead ones and many zombies and they're crushed. I mean, it's not very incredibly living like, I mean, it's a little bit of disappointing because it was open, so I thought actually the oxygen supply might make it, might help it. I mean, but the problem is that it's junk. Like, I mean, like almost all the containers besides the two big ones that you see on the floor, I threw everything and burned everything, so it's junk. So I mean, maybe I was over, like, expecting, like, from junk, like, to see great stuff, But we do see nice life forms, mostly dead ones, I think. Maybe, I mean, junk containers with trash oil, and Nerot Neshama is not, like, a great, I thought maybe, I don't know, but we have other trash containers that we can inspect later. Like, maybe it will be interesting. This looks like Dune. I really like the Dune environment, the desert and the huge worms, like the caves. Like it's really, I feel I really belong to this kind of place. Always, like it was always like that. I mean, this is like the perfect environment for my missions. Is like a Dune, like a Dune planet. Very, very nice. So you see some needles were colored like, I mean, in the inside like that, and some like that, and some ate like a mixture of the concoction. And not terribly interesting, so we see quite a bit of neos, and you should remember this one stayed for a couple of months, like the trash remnants in small soul candle, like Ner Neshama, mostly remnants of oil and trash, and still you see quite a bit of nice things. I mean, all interesting stuff. Not incredibly interesting, but definitely interesting. Arguably, it's even edible. Like, I mean, we have better stuff in our menu, but this is actually arguably edible because we don't see tremendous amount of life forms, and we do see like good, healthy amount of neurons. So this is actually even edible. But maybe that's why I mean the bug. Maybe the cockroach thought the same, like that is arguably edible. So, and he found its death like within the oil. הרעבתן שבדבש. It's one of the problem. I mean, I'm not sure if it's a problem or maybe part of like beneficial part of the political agenda that with the open containers. I mentioned in the past I had many more open containers, and at some point I stopped using open containers. And one of the problems is that you see many cockroaches that are kind of like taking a leak, taking like tasting a little bit of that, and this can give you. I mean, it not necessarily it leaves impact on Earth, not necessarily bad impact, but something that I cannot easily estimate. Like, I mean, it might be great. Like, I mean, maybe it's just what Earth needs right now. Like, cockroaches that are super mutants. I mean, maybe it's just, maybe we should, like, even like, create a state for them, like put them all together and, like, just, I mean, make like, a sovereign entity from this mutant cockroach. I'm not sure it's bad. Like, I mean, I just say that, I mean, more thought should be dedicated to it before we hastily, I mean, do stuff. Okay, so I mean, okay, nice enough for now. Not super interesting. So let's take a look at the last one, which is from the Yeast. We have commentary from the neighbors, and we appreciate their commentary very much. So for the next slide, that I'll prepare, what I'll do is continue to use. We'll get back to using enriched mixtures, like mixtures that are very rich in neos, mostly mixtures that are based on either these two containers or that were, boiled in the crucible, like the halva, for the purpose of having, like a high output experiments. And again, as I said, earlier, I tried to exemplify today something that was done several times in the past, but maybe it's time to like revisit this idea, which is using electrolysis chambers. I'll build a new one from clay. I don't have the high voltage transformer, but I'll use the low voltage. But I want to use much material, so to compensate. So the idea is to use electrolysis chamber for the process of enlargement, making something larger, specifically the trained bacteria. We'll place, inside the mixture, which will be much more liquid, than thin than what you see recently, because we want to mostly based on water and my pee. We want to, and also salt, so it will be conductive. But a bit of like, the oily material, that we have in the containers. I've replenished the box in the containers yesterday and also placed other material. But although I burned much of it, but so maybe we need to do another replenish today. So we will, and I'll place like, the mixture that we know that it's got like some, representation of the trained bacteria, and we will here, we'll show you both the symbol, like a symbol of the trained bacteria, like a sculpture symbol with the electricity of the trained bacteria, and also the symbol of enlargement. And the idea is to specifically tell the bacteria, the neos, what you should do is not create something, but make it larger, the trained bacteria that's inside the. So what my aim is to, as I said, I've already shown you, a couple of days ago, a trained bacteria that, to my estimation, is about 1 million times heavier than a typical trained bacteria that you can find inside, the Homo shabachnicus or the, Venetian prostitutus, like in Israel and also abroad. Like, so the typical time bacteria that you can find in these creatures, like the pigs, the sheep, the dogs, is about 1 million times smaller by weight than what you've already seen. But some people are still not impressed. So what we will try to do is to make an time bacteria that is 1 billion or maybe 1 trillion times heavier than, like, if it's like, 10 times, 10 times the length, 10 times width, 10 times height, so it's like 1,000 times heavier probably. So we'll try to do something that is like, I'm not saying just like that. This is an overkill, and I'm not sure I want to live with this stuff in the same room, even though you know that I'm very laissez-faire and lenient with regards to microbes. But this is like, this is like this is a bit much, It's like like a million trillion times like heavier. No, but I mean something that is between what you've already seen under the microscope, like, and also not just under the microscope, it's actually macroscopic. So between that and this one, we'll try to produce such a thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's, the last, straw that is needed in order for somebody in this world to, rethink the path of the tongue, and maybe let him, who knows, maybe even let it rest for a while. I mean, I do not dare, delude myself that it will ever happen, but who knows? I mean, maybe at some point, people will actually decide that the tongue, works enough, and it's time for maybe, other, parts of the human body to participate in the burden, the white man burden, the burden of existence. Maybe even the arm and the legs, who knows? Like, people in Israel were always difficult, and the world in general, Homo sapiens, טבע לב האדם רב מן, לב האדם רב מן רב, like, Homo sapiens are bad to the bone, but I mean, today people expect so much, okay, so you want 1 trillion times bigger bacteria under the microscope and also in your body. So, let's go for that direction, no problem. You see the neighbors are agreeing. If each time they agree with what I have said, you hear the sound of, boom. So, yeah, let's go for the trillion times bigger. Maybe, there will be kind of like a rethink of the tongue, of the way of the tongue. I don't know, maybe. טוב, זה נראה כמו שמרים, אני לא יודע, איך נראים שמרים? אין לי מושג. I'm not sure what we're watching. It's supposed to be yeast, like baking yeast, with Nero, a little bit of Nero, not much from another mixture, Nero mixture. I honestly don't know. I can't assess what I'm actually viewing. It's the colors are nice, I would say, but other than that, it's pretty much all sort of stuff. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe in the audience, some in the audience that are expert. Yes, there are many people that are expert on yeast because it's an organism that is tremendously widely used in research. So maybe they can tell us all sort of stuff. Okay, so I hope somebody found it interesting. So now we should continue by so perhaps the next step will be to take a sample from the halva containers, but this time without melting it first, because I think that melting it was not maybe like before putting it on the slide, spreading it, maybe it was not the most conventional method of how to prepare a biological sample, like to take a mixture, to melt it like over fire and then to spread it on the glass. Some would argue it might, interfere with the content, the biological content of the mixture, so maybe that's what I'll do. And after that, I will construct a new electrolysis chamber from clay that will be used for the enlargement experiment. It should be very interesting.